Hello aspirants and welcome again to Legacy IAS Academy. In this lecture, we will be discussing about an Indian who has been put on a death sentence, and in fact her death sentence is due on 16th of July. So we'll discuss about this case wherein an Indian nurse is on a death row in Yemen. So let's get started with respect to what the news is all about. So as I said, the execution of this death sentence is due on this coming 16th July. Now here, this Indian nurse has been convicted for murdering a colleague, or you can say a partner with whom she was running a clinic. So she was basically running a clinic in the country of Yemen, and she has been convicted for murdering a Yemeni citizen, because of which she is now facing a death sentence which is due on 16th of July. So with respect to this entire thing, we'll see what are the legal scenarios over here, what are the ethical dilemmas over here with respect to the death sentence or the death penalty, the types of justice, that is retributive or restorative justice, so on and so forth. So we'll cover the entire thing with respect to legal, social, as well as ethical and justice system. Now, before we get started into that, a small notification about the batches of Legacy IAS Academy. One such batch has already started on 7th July. There are 2 more upcoming batches in the month of August. So you can enroll yourself in the same in order to get the guidance from the experts in the field. The advantages that you will have over here is, of course, a comprehensive coverage of GS papers, one-on-one mentorship and doubt solving, which will be provided by the aforementioned experts that you saw. In addition to that, of course, one important thing about Legacy IAS Academy is the limited number of students in every batch, so as to give individual attention. In addition to the mains and prelims test series, there will be daily answer writing practice and a very special offering by the Legacy IAS Academy, that is 360-degree coverage of current affairs, wherein an entire day is dedicated to only current affairs live classes. So you can just log on to our website or call this number to enroll yourself. You can also download our app, wherein the provision for the same will be available. So let's get started. Let's continue, in fact, with the news and start with the legal and the judicial aspects of it. So first, the legal aspect. Basically, the Yemeni law is what we have to talk about. Indian law here as such would not be involved. It's the Yemeni law or Yemen's law that we have to talk about. Now, Yemen's law is a Sharia law. Basically, Yemen is an Islamic country having Muslims as the majority. It is also having a state religion, that is Islam. So Islam is the state religion, as a result of which it has the Sharia law, the Islamic Sharia law, the Sharia law of Islam is what they follow. Now, since they follow this principle, so based on the Sharia principles, in cases of murder, right, the victim's family here becomes important. The victim's families can demand a death penalty, right, or a compensation, or they can pardon as well. Yes. So in Indian justice system, what happens? Of course, the appeals from the family, etc. would be there, but it is the judge that decides based on the situation, the murder, the case, the nature of it, whether it's a cold blood, it's in defense, it's in self-defense, or whatever the case may be. Based on that, we take a judgment. Now in India, for the heinous crimes, even the death penalty is available, right? So that is the case. And as far as the pardoning power is concerned, with respect to pardoning the death sentence and completely removing it, the president can do that. But as per the Sharia law, that right is available to the family of the deceased. So the family of the deceased can do 3 things. One is ask for the death penalty, or instead, don't give the death penalty, give us some compensation, or ask the court to pardon the person. So in this case, the family has asked for the death penalty, and the negotiations are still, the people are still trying to negotiate in order to at least provide the compensation or ask them for pardon. So this is the law, Sharia law, which it talks about. Now here, Qisas versus Diya. Now, qisas is retributive justice and diya is basically blood money. So what is diya? Diya is blood money, as in murder has taken place, someone is dead, but instead the deceased family, the family of the deceased is asking for just compensation. So you are getting money in exchange of the blood that has happened. So that is the murder, which consists of blood, of course. So that is the blood money, a form of negotiated settlement. On the other hand, there is a concept of qisas. It is retributive justice. Retributive justice means an eye for an eye. If someone has been killed by someone, the other person should be also killed or stripped of their life. So that is the difference. They have the option, as I told, under the Sharia law, but death is penalty is what has been said, and the negotiations are still on. Now further, what is India's response? See, India's response in this situation is of course quite limited due to sovereignty. Yemen is a sovereign. India cannot get involved too much with respect to its rules and laws. If it would have been within India, in any states or union territories of India, the central government, India could of course intervene completely. But in this case, we cannot. As far as the international norms are concerned, India again cannot directly intervene with respect to the judicial matters of another country. However, it can clemency negotiation or negotiate clemency, negotiate for pardon, negotiate for settlement. We can negotiate, we can request, negotiate, etc. is what can be done over here. If you look at the ethical and humanitarian concerns over here, then you have the concept of restorative justice or retributive justice. Now, restorative justice is to make the person heal. The people who have been affected because they are the family of the deceased, they should also heal. And the person who has done the crime should be, basically rehabilitated and basically made a better person, reformed completely. That is restorative justice. But then there is retributive justice, which is eye for an eye. So what you should suggest choose is an ethical dilemma. Now, human rights dilemma is also there. The dilemma here is execution ethical, right? Specifically in a case wherein there was an alleged claim of abuse and torture. So this nurse who is facing the death sentence has claimed that she was being abused and tortured physically as well as financially abused also. So in such case, does death penalty still hold good or not? That is an ethical dilemma which is there. Now, at the same time, role of intention versus act in ethical judgment. So intention would not be there. It is just an act and response of frustration, of harassment, of abuse, financial, physical. So it is basically not a cold-blooded murder as such. So there are questions on giving a death sentence, right? In ethical concept, there is also the role of forgiveness. Can the victim family be encouraged to accept pardon? The other ethical issue is use of death penalty in legal system. Many countries, over 100 countries has abolished it. Do we have the right to take away someone's life just because someone else is taken? Can we reform them? Should we take their life also? Is an ethical dilemma which is here again. So a lot of ethics case study related things could also be asked. With respect to the diplomatic and international relations angle, see, India and Yemen bilateral relations, they have been quite limited, especially because of the ongoing civil conflict that is happening in Yemen. Civil conflict in Yemen, as in Yemen people are fighting against each other. They are forming militant groups and fighting. The civil war is going on since a long time, and as a result of which the relations are quite less. Indian government will also not popularize people going to Yemen because that is not feasible. It is not the advisable thing, so on and so forth. In fact, even the mother of this nurse has to take permission to actually allow her to visit her daughter, and she has been allowed and she is visiting. But generally as such, the Indian diaspora and all is not encouraged to as such go in Yemen because of the civil conflict that is going on. However, consular access and MEA role can be here, wherein Indian embassy is coordinating with the local authorities to request for pardon or compensation, etc. MEA has extended the logistical and legal help for the same. Further, there are limitations, of course, as I said, because of the conflict zones. So these are the conflict zones. Various outfits are present over there and a civil war is going on, as a result of which there are travel restrictions and certain safety concerns, because of which Indians are not advised to travel to Yemen. Now, there are socio-economic dimensions to this as well, that is of labor migration and vulnerability. Now, Nimisha is her name, who was a nurse. She was one of many Indian migrant healthcare workers. A lot of healthcare workers, especially the nurses, are going abroad, so they also need protection, rules, regulations. If they are being financially also harassed or otherwise physically abused, harassment, they should have laws to protect them. Women migrants specifically more often face the issue with legal protection being abused, their protection not being there. At the same time, abuse and exploitation is common, especially in the informal work arrangements. Right. Now, what should be the way forward? The way forward with respect to India and even other countries for that matter should be strengthening the India's immigration laws. Similarly, other countries should also do that. Immigration laws should be strengthened. Diaspora protection mechanism needs to be there, and international legal advocacy should also be present, so that a mutually agreeable decision could be taken and unilateral one-sided accentuation of things should be avoided, in order to ensure better understanding among the countries as well as the people who are traveling to these countries. Thank you.